Yo, before this episode of KPOPRC starts, don't forget to check out kpopRC.com for scale as apps for your scale ride, or pick yourself up a set of Recaros, an intercooler, or even 10 scale body screws or budget cooling fans. Remember, for every $20 you spend, you get entered in to win the very cage we're designing on this episode. Let's hit it. Yo, on this episode of kpopRC, we build the Zero Flux Hilux. Oh man, it's legendary.
I turned myself into a pickle, Morty! Boom!
Yes! If this is the first time you're visiting kpopRC, welcome. Hopefully you're subscribing, ring that bell or whatever. Does this channel have anything to do with Korean pop music? No.
I turned myself into a pickle!
No, but we're gonna build some super iconic cars into RC form. From the Godzilla R32 to Adam LC's cream-colored 240 to Cleet's Crown Victoria neighbor. So sub up if you want to see some super scaled shit action. And today, we're gonna kill it with Engineer to Slide's Yoda, the KPOPRC Zero Flux Hilux.
That's a knife. I see you've played knifey spoony before.
What's going on?
I'm just waiting for a mate.
Massive sources of inspiration don't usually come around often, so when they do, you drink as much of that inspiration as you can. One lowly afternoon, I stumbled upon Engineered to Slide. Hailing from Warren Ponds, Australia, Nigel, the owner-operator of Engineered to Slide, creates his masterpieces. The one that caught my eye was his fully tubed drift Hilux. Look at this beauty. I'm a huge sucker for tubed cage design. Look at this gantry of metal under the thin sheets of Hilux bodywork. Just look at it. Just look at this beauty. After going down a Google pit, I started to realize Nigel's manifesto is everything I aspire to be. 100% group up tube chassis. Every component was meticulously over-engineered by Nigel. The beautiful cage was freehand designed with no plans. Every body panel removable, powder coat clear coated, absolute labor of love. Of course, I had to have one. I had to make one. Where do I begin? The Secura D5 is the obvious platform of choice when building experimental drift RCs. Why, you ask? Because it doesn't break the bank. A Secura D5 chassis will run you just over $100, and now due to its popularity with RC drifters, most aftermarket companies are starting to pump out massive amounts of hop-up parts for it specifically. Not to mention Secura investing much more money into its first rear-wheel drive specific chassis. I bet they'll end up the way of the YD2 with more versions of the same chassis with subtle changes and baffling naming nomenclatures. Is it the best RC drift chassis? God no. But is it capable? Fuck yes it is, and with a group of experienced drifters at the track willing to help you test and tune your chassis, you'll get that D5 ripping and even tandeming with some of the most expensive RC drift chassis out there. But back to customization, you won't regret cutting a D5 chassis in half to make a wild project because it only cost you $100. So we got our chassis, that's the easy part. Now it's time to figure out how to kpopRC the shit out of this build. I always like to build elaborate cages that attach to my chassis for all my builds. The first build, it was a copper cage on an old RX-7 toy I had as a kid for the Scale as Shit project. Then I evolved to the styrene with Adam LZ's cream color 240. It had winkable flip-up lights and a pretty sweet backfire kit. Then I really went nuts.
You're crazy, man.
With the E30 wagon cage, with the kpopRC bus, the K-pop bus, a network of wires allowing me to tap into any radio channel or light controller wire anywhere on the chassis.
Coming at ya!
The E30 is a slightly abandoned project because I did realize the Bulldog chassis is such a freaking dog. So now, what do? How do we make the Hilux build top them all? How about we team up with another RC fabricator and share skills to make the ultimate 3D printable design for this chassis?
Just gonna send it!
Keeping within, of course, the spirit of the engineered to slide drift Hilux. Truly a Zero Flux Hilux. Did you expect anything less?
I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet.
The internet! A cesspool of misinformation and cute puppies! Among the incredibly depressing drab and cuteness, sometimes you do stumble on some value in between those zeros and ones. That value is an amazing community of like-minded model makers who never really want to grow up. Those are my people. There are quite a few, and I'm very lucky to befriend the best of them. One of those hobbyists is Ali from Scale Addiction. Who better than Scale Addiction to help model the Zero Flux Hilux? Scale Addiction, the master of 3D design, pumping out scale replicas of some of the coolest cars on his YouTube channel. We connected through the internet a while back, sharing photos of projects we were working on, and finally, now we are collaborating on this amazing project. Oh, hold on, you're breaking out.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay. Yeah, so everybody, this is Ali from Scale Addiction, the man, the myth, the legend, of course. If you guys aren't subscribed to his channel, you guys should definitely subscribe to his channel. I got him here, we're chatting, and all the way, dude, man, where are you from? You're halfway around the world.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm from Iraq. I think nobody knows that I'm from Iraq. I'm from the other side of the world.
It's cool because the internet helps bring us like hobbyists together, which is super cool.
Yeah, I think you did that. You bring us together, your channel, man. Thanks for having us.
It's crazy how we can fiddle with some like digital files, and then I can just like send it to you via Facebook or through email, and then right away you can grab it, you know, and we can be printing the same models at the same time. It's such a cool thing for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy technology right now. Basically, we are living in future, I think, right?
Yeah, man, it's the future for sure, for sure. I was gonna say it's so difficult to 3D model existing car bodies because car bodies have so many compound curves. They're not just like rectangular prisms. How long did it take you to become a master? I mean, I saw the R34, the new Jeep Rubicon that you did. I think it's a Rubicon. It's just amazing. All the Corvette C8 that you did is just beautiful, and everything looks so great. You've become kind of a legend of modeling these bodies.
It took me a lot, practicing, watching tutorials, and the company I'm working right now, they saw some of my works. I've been designing simple stuff, so they told me, can you design the whole field for us? It's an oil company, and I was like, yeah, I can, but it's gonna take time. After that, I became good with designing, and I could draw what is in my mind.
I always say the best way to learn something is to have a problem to solve, right? And then you're working within the parameters of something, right? So you're not creating something from the top of your head. You're seeing something and then you're trying to translate that into a 3D design, and that helps you learn how to make the project, how to problem solve, which is super great. So I assume that's why it was so easy for you to make all the tubing, eh?
Yeah, that was easy. I'm kind of master with the tubing.
To get everything Ali needed, I started on the chassis. What better way to trace the chassis than scanning it? Those tricky Secura bastards squeeze the proportions of the instruction manual, I assume to stop people from cloning their platform. Good on you, Secura. So of course, I whipped out the trusty 3-in-1 printer fax scanner from 2005 and scanned up the chassis plate. It was still horizontally inaccurate. Remember folks, measure 10 times, model 10 times, I think it goes. Or is it like measure 15 times, model another 20 times, I guess. I guess either I have to get better at measuring or modeling, but let's be real, it's probably both. The original idea was to create a totally custom chassis, but after a ton of prototyping, I decided to make a piggyback chassis that sandwiches itself between the carbon chassis plate and the chassis components. Did I say chassis enough? Chassis. Chassis. I don't even know if I'm saying it right anymore. This was the start of some serious iterative design. My absolute fave. Yeah, you know, it was, it's my fave. It started out as a simple chassis, one that had to be printed in 2 sections. The printer bed was just not big enough to print the whole chassis. The chassis. In the end, I did just decide to do a half chassis. This just was the easiest way to go and allowed me to design mounting points for future cage mounting points. Oh boy. Yeah, that I would eventually send to Ali for him to get started on the elaborate engineered to slide tube chassis.
Oh shit. That thing is broken.
It was almost a year ago, I would say about a year ago. We were talking about, collaborating on a project, and I was like, I have this one idea. I'm super inspired by this company, Engineered to Slide, and I usually make my cages out of styrene, and it would have been cool to sort of 3D print something. And I remember, you saying, yeah, just send me whatever model, and I'll like tweak it and whatever. And I just made a crude, single line cage. I sent it to you, and you sent back this like masterpiece cage.
You helped a lot with the chassis measuring. I used to send you and you were telling me, we have to make it larger, smaller, yeah.
I felt so bad, man, because I was I was just worried you were gonna get sick of me because I kept like messaging you on Facebook, like all these messages and and then all the versions. I think we were like on version like 13 by the end of it. There's so many versions.
We finally did it, and it's one masterpiece, STL file. Right now the problem is we can't sell it because people gonna steal it from us.
I'm having fun sort of sending it out to people, you know, like it's fun just to like print it and send it to like people who, and then that way there's like a limited amount and only certain people have it, and then slowly trickle it through.
Like a super fan.
Yeah, like yeah, totally. Super fans that get it, and then nobody, and then it becomes this like exclusive thing that nobody has. It's like a legend, like the whispers of a legend, you know? I don't know. It seems cool that way. So any of the dudes that are watching, man, obviously subscribe up to Scale Addiction, because he's got a lot of really cool projects. He's pumping out more videos than I am. I've been so slow lately, but yeah. Massive shout out goes to Ali from Scale Addiction for helping me get this thing this far. Couldn't have done it without you, bro. And don't worry, guys, he helps with another super major part a little bit later. There were a few logistical issues with the D5 chassis. The battery location wouldn't make for a scale as shit look, so it was either we plopped it on the back behind the rear wheels, or we tucked it standing on its side behind the rear bucket seats. I do want to run this truck naked, no body, and really want to show off the cage scaleness. So of course I rotated the motor and driveline around 180 degrees and incorporated a slick battery hold down 3D printed into the chassis. The bullet connector actually holds the battery in place. Oh, and also shout out goes to RC World for supplying me with some seriously scaled accessories. Cheers to beers, bro. A few minor modifications I had to make was not only flipping the transmission around to mid-engine the D5, but also trimming the upper deck chassis plate to fit the horizontal battery. But don't worry, dudes, the cage is quite a rigid member, and it stiffens it up as rigid as it would be stock. I should mention what electronics I'm using. A huge shout out goes to Hobbywing for supplying the motor and ESC combo. Just a heads up, Hobbywing has released a drift specific combo that if you're looking for a budget alternative, you should definitely consider, especially if using my discount code kpopROCKS for a nice discount. The servo is a cheapo purchase from Hobbywing. It's a Trackstar TSD99X. I've had no issues with the servo on a few drift cars. I'm sure there are better, but if you run a money hemorrhaging YouTube channel and are on a budget, maybe this is the way to go. As for a gyro, I'm using a cheaper Oniseki unit that also has been working flawlessly. Check out the description for links to these components if you're looking to build yourself a drifter. All right, the chassis is done. Now it's onward to printing the cage. I've said it once and I'll say it again. If you're into all this malarkey, into RC hobby, model trains, gunpla, or whatever flavor of awesome, then you need to do yourself a favor and go out and purchase a 3D printer. Whatever, you get yourself an FDM printer, fused deposition printer, or get yourself a resin printer, whichever one you want. They've come down in price so much lately that one can be had for under $250. What 3D printer do you have?
Right now I'm using Creality Ender 3. And this is the one I got it in 2018 and still got it. It's working fine. I did some upgrades like a hot end and extruder, build plate, but right now it's working really good. And I got the resin printer as well.
Oh, that's right. How is the resin printer going? I don't see a lot of resin prints from...
It's not easy to work with. I still got so many failed prints. It's not like FDM printer, but when they finish printing, it's really good. Like, yeah, it's very smooth. like 0.05 millimeter layer height. I still use it for the headlight and tail light. You've seen the videos. It looks crystal clear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. Like we were talking, it's always a problem getting light buckets, like the lensing on the lights to look proper. But with a resin printer and some polishing, you can make it look so good.
Yeah, it's super clear. Some people don't believe it. They say it's a scam, or they think I'm an advertiser for the company. And I was like, hey man, this is my channel. Look, this is how I did it. And I'm not sponsored by anyone.
Ah, iterative design, how I love you and both hate you at the same time. The goal of this episode is to have a working prototype, everything fitting correctly, get the Zero Flux Hilux drifting, then over time, refine the prints. I can already see the comments about the quality of prints. Dudes, this is printed at draft. It takes too long to print high quality just to find out things don't fit. What's left? Well, the Hilux front bumper, that's what. And Ali killed it again with this one. It's not an easy thing to model, and he nailed it. After he sent it over to me, I had it printing within minutes, and it came out freaking amazing. All that's left is to print it in resin or spend hours sanding it to get the FDM texture out of those beautiful body lines. But that is for another episode. Let's get this thing together and see if she drifts. Also, a big shout out goes to Gear Guy, another amazing contributor to our RC community. He designed up the actual rims and resin printed them up for me and sent them over. This thing is really coming together. There's nothing like seeing something you've been pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into and it actually coming to fruition. What an absolute beast. I couldn't have done it without Scale Addiction and the support from the Tall Can Tuesday crew. Come join us every Tuesday for some beers and some chats. There, you can enter to win the Zero Flux Hilux raffle, where we raffle off this cage kit every few months. Also, visit kpopRC.com, spend 20 bones on sticker sheets, 3D printed models or designs, or other scaleless items, and that will also enter you to win the raffles. But that's enough business talk. Let's see her drift.
What we do here, just go back.
Will there be another episode of Zero Flux Hilux? Probably. When? I have no idea. There's a ton of things I still want to do on this thing. Maybe move the shocks and add a scale engine. You know, also add removable Lexan panels so I can drift this thing around just like Engineered to Slides Test and Tune days. So, you know, lots to come. So, of course, don't forget to sub up for upcoming content. We're jumping on the Cletus neighbor build next. Try to get the thing burning out before the snow. So, see you dudes on Tall Can Tuesday. K-pop out.